Hey, hey, here we go. Day 8 of 31 Days of Lives. We are at October 8th, 2024, day 8. So today's topic is balancing a full time job while trying to grow a side business. Maybe that's your story. Today I'm going to give you 3 tips on what you can do and what I did. I was working in corporate America for almost 20 years. So the transition going from corporate into entrepreneurship was a whole situation. So tip number one, what I want you to realize is that it will look different for everyone. Like when you see other people that have gone from working full time to becoming a side hustle entrepreneur, if you will, although I don't like the word hustle, but for the sake of this explanation, taking it on as a side hustle, their new thing that eventually they want to do full time, you don't see the behind the scenes of the mindset gymnastics that they have to learn, the um, the struggles of feeling like you're working 2 jobs because in real life you are, the imposter syndrome, the second guessing yourself if you're doing the right thing. There will be times, for me anyway, there was times, well, for you too, let's just be honest. There are times when you feel like you're being stretched beyond your capacity. Don't bite into the devil trying to tell you that it's not going to work. Why are you doing this? Because what he's trying to get you to do is play small and retract back. And you don't want to do that. There's going to be times when you want to quit. Don't. Like I went through all of these things during my transition into from corporate into entrepreneurship. So just know that it will look different from for everyone. Is if your experience in it, if you don't see that, it's just because people aren't talking about it. They're showing the Lamborghinis, they're showing them on the beach, they're showing all the good sides. They're not showing the struggle bus side of it, but know that it does exist. What I recommend there is put yourself, let me put my banner up here. Put yourself in a community to put to demand on your greatness so that you can connect with other people who are going through that same thing, because if you don't, it can be a very, very, very lonely road if you don't have somebody to talk to when you're making that transition, going from who you were to who you're going to become, going from caterpillar to butterfly. You need support. So tip number 2, create realistic expectations. What does that mean? That means there's going to be early mornings, there's going to be late nights. There's going to be times when you have to work over your lunch. Well, I need to have my lunch. Yes, you're going to have your lunch, but what you're looking to create is something that you've never had as you're going into full time entrepreneurship. What I'm trying to share with you guys is I just want to give you an inside peek of kind of what that looks like. That I'm trying to put it into 3 tips, but it really all meshes together. Let me just give you the third tip and let me just talk about them all at the same time, because I'm trying to give you tip 2 without saying tip 3, but they really all go together. Tip number 3 was be willing to do what almost no one else is willing to do. So now let me lock them together. When I was working for the government in my good government job and I knew I was going into full-time entrepreneurship, there was times when I took a Friday off to work on my hustle, when I took a Monday off to work on my hustle, meaning I had to be willing to use vacation days. Somebody say vacation days. You have to, like, I'm not using my, one train of thought is I'm not going to use my vacation days. Like those are my vacation days. Then I won't get to go on vacation. Well, the other mindset, the other perspective is you put on a different pair of glasses is that you you are building something. You are building a life so that you don't, how can I put it? You're building something that you've never experienced. So on the better side. So you have to be willing to sacrifice. That's the word I'm looking for. You have to have that sacrificial season in order to get here. When you are taking those days off, you're in that sowing season. You're sowing into your next level. So be willing to use your vacation days. Be willing to wake up earlier. I had to do all those things. Be willing to spend your lunch break on calls talking to people. Be willing to stay late. Right? Now, I'm not this, hustle, 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 hustle. There's balance in all of it, but it's not going to look like what you see on the internet because they don't show that part. If you have a breakdown and start crying at night, that is normal. If you feel like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, that is normal. People just don't show that. So if you're watching this right now, I want to encourage you that if you are someone who is in the in between of I'm working this full time job that I no longer love, I don't even like it anymore, right? Maybe that's you. And I don't see progression for me in this organization, but they do pay me. I do have, do make decent money. I do have a 401k. I do have good insurance. It's steady, it's solid. That is one thing, but walking in your purpose it's a whole nother animal. And the feeling of being able to do that is everything. But don't believe the hype that you're just going to go from one to the other without there being a season of sacrifice. That's what I want you to gather tonight. There is a season of sacrifice before you get over into what I guess I will call at this point the promise or the promised land. Get my comments up here. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, Julia. Woo, right? Woo and we. Julia says you're talking to me. Yes, yes. Are you in that process right now? Like it is a process. It will mess with your mind. It will legit mess with your mind. Like I knew when I left the government, like I knew I was making the right decision. I knew it was the right thing to do. But when I started working there, I was so young that I did not realize how much I didn't know about me, about myself, about my habits, good and bad. Like once you've been working somewhere for so long and you leave that place, that known, it's like leaving your parents' home. You leave that known and go to the unknown, even though that unknown is what you're striving for that to now become your new normal. It has to get to the point where it's your new normal. And in that season, it is, hear me well, in that season, it is very easy to retract back and go to where it's comfortable. Don't do it. That's my whole message for tonight is to show you that the balancing of the full-time job while growing a business, there are things, there are feelings, there are emotions, there are strongholds, there are there are unlearnings that you have to go through. There's struggle, there's overwhelm, there's all those things that if you're not aware that that is normal when you're going through that tunnel, if we look at it as a tunnel, if you're not aware those things are normal when you're going through that tunnel, you'll retract back and say, "Oh my gosh, I think I made a mistake." Especially if you are in a situation or in an environment where no one else around you has created that path for themselves. If you haven't seen it by somebody, if you haven't seen someone close to you, and I'm not talking about just on the internet, if you haven't seen someone do it, it's difficult if you're the only one that's done it. If you have a parent or a significant other that is or friends that are close to you and they've never seen it, when you're the one waving the flag like I'm going to be the generational curse breaker in my family, they might not give you the encouraging words that you need in this season. I'm telling you to be aware of that. When your loved ones, and they're not hating. Please don't look at it like, oh my gosh, they're hating. They're not hating, they just legit don't know any better because they haven't seen it. But you have to, I want to encourage you tonight as I'm about to close and hop on off of here. I want to encourage you tonight to be the person that builds an ark before it rains. Even if you've never seen it, when Noah had to build the ark, did you know that it had never rained before? So he was preparing for something that had never been seen, right? So, what does it look like to prepare for something that has never been seen? That's faith. You have to have that kind of faith. You haven't seen it in your lineage, you haven't seen it close to you. So, when you go to people that are your loved ones and you want to talk to them about it, be aware that they haven't seen it in many cases. Yet Pamela says it's not their vision. Exactly, it's not their vision. They don't understand. But the mistake that I'm trying to say that a lot of people will make is they will go to that loved one really innately. What you're really looking for when you go to that loved one, you're looking for approval. Can we just be honest? You're looking for their approval, their acceptance. You're looking for them to put a stamp of approval on it and sign off on it. You're not saying that, and you may not even be consciously aware of it. I'm letting you know now. PSA. You're really looking for their approval. And when you don't get that, and there's nowhere else for you to turn, or so you think there's nowhere else for you to turn, you start second guessing your decisions. I'm telling you not to. I'm telling you not to. Julie says, this is so good, 100% accurate. Yes. So if you're watching right now, or you see the replay, because I am live right now, it is 8:04 p.m. Eastern on October the 8th. I am live. If you're seeing this on the replay, know that you're only alone in your corner of the world. I want you to be intentional about finding a place and a space where there's people just like you that decided to be the generational curse breaker and join whatever that looks like to be surrounded by other people who were on that forward trajectory. And be the one in your family that positively infects everyone else. You have to be willing to do that. Shirell says, have we met? I feel like you are speaking directly to me right now. Natasha, I think it is. I don't want to pronounce it wrong. I like this and we'll watch the replay. I missed the beginning. This is so good. I don't think we've met before, Shirell Gilmore. The reason why it feels like I'm speaking directly to you is because what I'm telling you from my heart, this was my truth 11 years ago when I left the government. My mom didn't agree for me to leave. My friends didn't understand because I had a good job. I was making six figures. I had the 401k. I had the salary. I had the good insurance. Like I had all the things. In real life, it looked like I was living the American dream. Go to college, get a good job, get married, have children. Did not happen in that order. My business. But they all happened, buy the car, the house, all the things. But there comes to a point where, for me, my season of life changed and nobody quite understood. And I imagine, yes, I'm in Atlanta, and I imagine that some of you right now are going through that, and that's why you feel like I'm speaking directly to you. It's because I was you. 11 years ago, I was you. I know what it feels like. I know the disconnect you can have with self because of that validation that you're looking for, but you're not getting it. Only not because they're hating. You're not getting it because they've never seen it either. Think about past generations. I don't want to get too deep, but think about past generations. They did, like, we can look at past generations and be like, they did what? Oh, they let folks do what to them? Oh, there's no way I would have let that happen. It's because of the time they were in, there was no other way. Now, we especially, let's just say what it is. Now, especially as Black people, there's things that we won't go for. But years and years ago, that was the way that it was. What I'm saying is, it is 2024. There are things that are the way they are because there has not been enough people yet to buck the norm. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat. There's not been enough people to buck the norm, and that's why I show up day after day after day after day after day after day, because I decided to be one that bucked the norm no matter what everyone else around me was saying. I knew in my heart it was time for something different, something more, something better for me. And if you're watching this right now and you're still tuned in, you know that for you. I'm what it looks like on the other side. It is possible. Because now I lead and live life exactly how I want to on my terms. My terms. Options is one of my favorite words on the planet because I didn't realize until I left the government that I didn't have as many options in life as I thought. Freedom, one of my favorite words. If you're in a situation where you don't have as many options in life as you want, and you haven't been on since the beginning of this live stream, I want you to go back as soon as I'm done. I'm going to leave it up. I want you to go back as soon as I'm done here in a second, and I want you to watch it from the beginning. And if you don't have the options in your life that you'd like, if you don't have the time freedom in your life that you'd like, there is another way. Know that. I see you guys tagging other people. If you have to play this every morning before you go to work, do that. There is another way. You might have to be the one to pave that way in your corner of the world. That's what I had to do in mine. And I'm so glad, so grateful that no matter what it felt like in my being, I never gave up. I didn't listen to the naysayers. I knew for me, it was time to go higher. I knew it was time to elevate. And you know what to. I'll see y'all tomorrow.